The petty family feud started with my brother-in-law's wife picking a fight with me. Up until this point, there haven't been any issues. I've just been living peacefully with my in-laws. I'm Amelia, a 35-year-old housewife married for 3 years. My husband Mason is a year older than me and currently runs his father's company, which is a well-respected local business founded by his father. I stay out of the company's business as I am studying law for the future. My relationship with my in-laws is good. I moved in with them right after getting married. My father-in-law hardly goes to the office now, enjoying socializing with friends, while my mother-in-law works all day in accounting at the company, so they really appreciate my handling of all the housework. Mason has an older sister who is 3 years his senior and works at their father's company with her husband. He also has a younger brother, 2 years his junior, who works at a friend's company and has moved out. Since I had little interaction with them, there were no issues. The peace was disrupted when Mason's brother Fabian married 27-year-old Harper. She was already pregnant at the time of the marriage and gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, 2 months later. In contrast, Mason and I don't have children. Only my in-laws, Mason's sister, my husband and I know this, but the issue lies with Mason. However, Harper, who doesn't know this, started saying that their family is more suitable to inherit the company. Initially, Harper asked me, "You're already past 30 and still don't have kids. Why is that?" Honestly, I've been fed up with people asking "no kids yet," or saying, "It's your duty as the eldest son's wife to bear an heir." Of course, I married Mason knowing we couldn't have children, so I just laughed off such comments. As usual, I vaguely answered Harper, "Well, that's something only God can decide." Then she bluntly said, "Doesn't that mean you're defective as a woman and a wife? Unlike you, I've given birth to both a boy and a girl, so don't you think our family should be the successor?" She even pressured my husband. "Fabian also thinks it's unfair for Mason to take over the company. Can't you talk to Mason about handing over his position to my husband?" I replied, "That's not something I should interfere in. If you're so keen on succeeding the company, you should discuss it directly with our father-in-law. Though Mason is currently in charge, the company's CEO is still his father." I thought talking to the father-in-law might change things, but Harper retorted, "That's why I'm asking you." Apparently, Fabian was quite rebellious when younger, leading to a pretty bad reputation locally. According to Harper, his parents know this, so it's unlikely they'd choose him as a successor. She insisted, "That's why I'm asking you. Even if Mason takes over, there's no next generation to follow, right? It'd be better if Fabian became the president from the start." I grew increasingly angry and voiced my opinion strongly to Harper. She looked annoyed and snapped, "Fine, just watch me." It seemed like she was plotting something. Over the weekend, Harper and Fabian suddenly showed up with their twins. Since they hadn't visited much after the birth, everyone exclaimed, "How adorable! Do they look like me? Look at their eyes," said the grandparents. Though honestly, they didn't resemble the grandfather. The in-laws were overjoyed. Fabian, grinning foolishly, was buttering up, saying, "Right, they'll probably grow up to be great kids just like Grandpa. Your genes are amazing." Harper also spoke to the twins. "Look, here's Grandpa and Grandma. They're going to love you a lot." "Ah, now I understand their strategy. It is indeed quicker to use the grandchildren's trump card than to fix Fabian's tarnished reputation. But I think, or rather I am sure, that their efforts are in vain." While I thought this, Harper looked at me and smirked. "I want to raise these children to be as respectable as you. Can I bring them here often to show them your admirable ways?" she said sweetly to her father-in-law. I thought it's ridiculous to show this to infants, but the father-in-law was surprisingly happy and agreed readily. Then, getting carried away, Fabian asked in a wheedling tone, "Dad, we're really struggling financially now with 2 kids all of a sudden. My current job pays poorly. Could you help us out a bit for your adorable grandchildren?" The grandfather, smitten with the twins, agreed to give a monthly allowance of $1,000. My mother-in-law and Mason watched with complex expressions. Later, my mother-in-law told me that she and my sister-in-law had to apologize a lot for Fabian's past misdeeds. The diligent and hard-working sister-in-law, who is the opposite of Harper and Fabian, strongly opposed their marriage, and the mother-in-law regretted not listening to her. It's unthinkable that couple could raise their kids properly, and I'm afraid they're gonna dump the twins on us, she said. Indeed, I agreed. Amelia, this is no time to be relaxed. If they bring the twins over on weekdays, you'll be the one looking after them, she added. That's right. I've never raised children, so there's no way I could properly care for babies just a few months old. But surely Harper wouldn't leave her twins with someone like me, I thought. Since you probably can't have kids anymore, I'll let you participate, Harper told me. A few days later, in the afternoon, Harper brought the roughly half-year-old babies to our house and tried to leave by herself. Hey, that's incredibly irresponsible. What if something happens to these kids? I shouted in anger. Harper replied cheerfully, If anything happens, I'll blame it all on you. Poor mother to have such a daughter-in-law. Hearing that, I completely lost my temper. Using your own children for your and your husband's schemes? Enough is enough, I burst out. What scheming? Watch how you talk. Isn't it sad for your mother-in-law and father-in-law having an infertile woman like you as the eldest son's wife, leading to the end of the company in the next generation? She asked with a smirk. Why do you assume it'll end? I inquired. What are you talking about? Since the eldest son, Mason, doesn't have kids, there won't be a next generation once he becomes the president, she explained. Someone else will become the president, I replied. I won't let that happen, Harper objected. After yelling that, she actually left the two babies behind and walked out. What should I do? My mother-in-law is super busy with the company's year-end accounting. Should I contact my husband? But Mason has zero experience with child rearing too, and he has apologized many times for the fact that I can't get pregnant because of him. Should I really discuss the baby situation with him? While I was pondering, the two babies started crying almost simultaneously. The father-in-law tried to soothe them but couldn't. Right, my sister-in-law has experience with child rearing. Remembering this, I quickly contacted her, and she came right over. At 10 p.m., a drunken Harper was greeted by me, my husband, the in-laws, and her husband. My sister-in-law was in another room making sure the twins didn't wake up. What's going on? Why is everyone here? Harper was visibly shaken. The mother-in-law asked, Why did you leave the children for 7 hours? Oh, that. Amelia insisted on taking care of them and kicked me out. How awful, right? She stated. Mason responded to Harper's smooth lie. I heard all your conversation with Amelia this afternoon. You really talked down my wife. Actually, Mason had been troubled by Harper's recent behavior and had installed listening devices after her last visit. Harper was momentarily flustered but then said, Isn't it the truth? The eldest son's wife can't even have children. Quiet. That's when the mother-in-law raised her voice. The fact that these two don't have children is something my husband and I have already accepted. It's none of your business, she uttered. Before marrying, Mason and I had a bridal check at the hospital to see if we could conceive. That's when it was discovered that Mason had a congenital issue preventing us from having children. The mother-in-law cried, apologizing for giving birth to Mason just like that. That's why she protected me from Harper's abusive words, and she kept the fact that Mason was the cause a secret. Her kindness truly touched me. After being scolded by the mother-in-law, Harper, unable to grasp the situation, turned to plead with the father-in-law. But we have children. To ensure the company's continuation, the next generation's successor is necessary, right? Then the father-in-law calmly replied, We haven't thought that far. Whoever becomes the next president can decide. Choosing a successor just because they have children is absurd. Hearing this, Harper and Fabian's expressions changed. So does that mean Mason is the next president? Fabian almost shrieked. The father-in-law responded, No, I'm going to ask his sister to take over. We decided that before he got married. The brother-in-law couple's face looked as if they had been hit by a bullet. But the sister is a woman, Fabian managed to say. The father-in-law cut him off. She has always been excellent academically and popular. Plus, you might not know this, but she had to apologize for your misdeeds. Since then, she's been known locally as polite and dependable. Next to the stunned brother-in-law, Harper turned her anger towards me. You knew about this, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me? She questioned. What? I did say someone else will become the president. I'm not part of their company, so I can't say more than that, I replied. Then Mason chimed in. The $1,000 we were giving you was from my pocket. We couldn't use the company's money, and I wanted my dad to enjoy his salary and pension. Plus, I do love my nephew and niece, but after discussing with Dad and my sister, we've decided to stop it from now on. Hearing this, both Harper and Fabian went pale. What? That's a problem. We're spending so much on childcare, they resented. Such excuses didn't work with my husband. What are you talking about? We felt sorry for you saying life was tough, so my sister and I discussed hiring Fabian in our company. When we brought in a private investigator to verify the information, we learned that you often left your children with their parents to go clubbing, he accused. At this revelation, the couple collapsed on the spot. Still, they desperately clung to their in-laws, but the father-in-law firmly stated, "We leave the company to Big Sister and her husband, and the housework to Mason and his wife. Please don't rely on us anymore." Harper began to cry, starting a family quarrel over nothing. Later, I heard that the brother-in-law couple were discussing divorce. Neither wants to pay alimony nor child support, and the brother-in-law is ranting, "They're not my kids, they don't look like me," while Harper left the kids with her parents and is refusing to let them see their father. Apparently, she doesn't want a DNA test. Whether or not the twins have the brother-in-law's blood, they will certainly not inherit the company. But it's a bit sad for the innocent twins. Mason, my husband, is set to become the president of the subsidiary, where my sister-in-law and her husband have been working since before our marriage. I will not be helping out at my mother-in-law's company, and am studying labor law to be useful in this new role. I'm also scheduled to be appointed as the executive vice president, and I'm determined to make it a better place for our employees to enjoy working.